Hi, welcome to another video from CoverboardEast.com. My name's Jay. I play Asian board games and share what I find with all of you. Today, we're going to talk about the best board games from Asia 2019. Now, 2019, I'm just going to say it, it's the best year for board gaming in Asia. In 2018 in Essen, countless publishers from all over Asia, we're talking Korea, Taiwan, Japan, Indonesia, all traveled to Essen in Germany, and they all met each other there for the first time. Thinking it's kind of weird that we all had to travel halfway around the world to all meet each other, but we all got there and they all started to plan to go to each other's conventions and create a year-long convention season. So the West will have conventions from the summer into the fall, and Asia will have conventions coming from January all the way through spring. And it'll be one long, continuous year convention. And then 2020 came, and it all stopped. But 2019, everything was still rolling along. Everyone was going to each other's conventions. Taiwanese publishers were going to Korea. Singaporean publishers were coming here to Taiwan. So everybody was meeting everybody was talking to everybody, and 2019 just became the best year for board games in Asia. So we're gonna do a top 20 this time around, because I can't just squeeze everything into 10. So let's get things going. Number 20, Colorful Treasure by Poke Design. Now, if you're not familiar with Poke Design, he also did Three Little Wolves, which came out this year in North America and last year in Asia. When in 2019, he did Colorful Treasure. Now, this is the later stage version of it. When I first played this game, it was all handmade. That's right, he folded, I think, 200 boxes of games and sold it at a local convention. That's who Poke is. But what Colorful Treasure is one of the best family games that I've ever played. Now, Colorful Treasure is basically just a memory game where you flip one card, flip another card. Do they match? No? Okay, flip them back over. That, to me, is boring. But Colorful Treasure adds a little bit of deduction into it. So you have your standard grid of cards, and on each column, you know there are X amount of colors. So you're able to start guessing and picking what cards are where. And you know all the cards are in each column. So there's a little bit of deduction going on. And you have natural set collection. You're going for the treasures from all the different places around the world. And the pieces are fantastic. They didn't have to have this huge chunk of plastic in the game, or more for that matter, but I think it's great that they did. And I think kids really enjoy this. At least the kids that I've seen play this game. While it is, at the end of the day, just a memory game, there is a lot of deduction that goes along with it. And I think that pushes this over the top, and I definitely recommend it as one of the better family board games from Asia. And that has been my number 20, Colorful Treasure. And if you want to look for this, go to the Taiwan Board Game Design webpage, and you should be able to buy this. Number 19 is a game that's coming out this year from Rio Grande Games in North America. And they're calling it, I gotta admit, by the better name, Art Deco, because it's a deck building game. But in 2019, Promenade first came out. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of deck builders, or at least I'm very picky with my deck builders, but Promenade has that very great indie publisher feel, because the publisher, the designer, and the artist are all the same person. In this game, you are buying and selling art, and the cards you buy are slowly going into your deck. And it's odd because it feels like your deck is becoming your art collection, and you're using art to buy more art to put into your collection. And occasionally you're sending it off to a museum to score even more points. But the real charm of the game is that all the art from all the cards is done by hand by the publisher and the designer. That is really cool. And I admit, I initially didn't want to like this game, but I was actually quite surprised by how fast it played, how interesting to play it, and through multiple plays, I enjoyed it more and more. So if you really want to get this game, I'll go to Rio Grande Games and look for the new version, Art Deco. Definitely one of the best art-themed games, and one of the best deck builders that I've played. Number 18, Mooncake Master by Origami Games. This game comes from Singapore. There aren't many Singapore publishers out there, but Origami is definitely one of the better ones to look out for. The first thing I gotta say about this game is the production is just off the chart. Like, this box is really nice quality. The tiles in this game are really nice quality. They even have a little bit of a texture there, so they don't slip away from your fingers. The art in this game has this great kitschy 60s feel to it. Like, everything about this game showed that the designer and publisher cared a lot about this game, and I think it is fantastic. Mooncake Master has you building mooncakes, and you're going to be building 3 mooncakes throughout the course of the game. Essentially, you have a hand of tiles or cards. You look at them, you'll draft 2 cards to the players to your left and to your right, and they'll naturally give you 2 more tiles, and then you'll place them down and create a mooncake. Now, some people feel like the randomness is a little bit too harsh in this game, but it's definitely there, and I like the player interaction of seeing what the person to my left is doing, seeing what the person to my right is doing, how to mess them up, how to make sure they don't get a better mooncake than I do, and make sure that they end up with a nice, weird Frankenstein mooncake that's not going to score them a lot of points. But something really interesting happened when I played this game. I'm Asian, I grew up Asian, I made dumplings and mooncakes like as a kid, and there's this great communal feeling of sitting around in a circle and everyone just zoning out and making dumplings and mooncakes together. And it kind of feels like that, where we're all there sitting in a circle and we're all passing things to each other and we're making these little mooncakes. And it just feels like I'm back home at the table with my family when I'm playing this game. To top it all off, this also has a very solid solo mode. It didn't have to include that, but it did. This is from Daryl Chow. And if you haven't heard of him, well, you should definitely look him up on VGG because his games that he's been designing are quite impressive. And he's definitely designers to look out for in the future. And that's been my number 18, Mooncake Master. Number 17, Electropolis. Now, you're going to take one look at this box and maybe you'll fall asleep because it's not too exciting, but you're going to be missing out on what's underneath. Electropolis is the first of 3 power games. I'm not talking about power, but powering electricity and like power good power game. And I think this one is probably the best. In this game, players will be acquiring tiles and you will be placing them in a 5x5 grid, trying to create your own city. Naturally, trying to make everyone in your city happy and avoid as much pollution as possible because those are going to give you lots of negative points. But at the same time, things that produce pollution are going to give you a lot of points. So you're going to have to try and find that happy medium there. But what makes this game sing is the auction mechanic. You can go first and get 1 tile that you want, or you can go later and get even more tiles. And you're going to find that, well, I mean, you're going to get a lot of tiles, some of them you want, some of them you don't, and you're going to have to make the best of it in your city. But if you do not do that occasionally, then you're going to have a lot of negative points at the end of the game because you didn't complete your city. So once again, this game has another nice balance of the auction. Do you want to get a lot? Or are you going to get one that you really need? Are you going to build up a lot of pollution and score a lot of points? Or are you going to have a lot of pollution and lose a lot of points? Or are you going to keep making sure that everyone's happy? And there's this great balancing and teeter-tottering back and forth that you have to keep with your own city and with the other players. And that's why I think Electropolis is the best of the Power trilogy. And number 17 on my list. If you want to get this game, look for it on the Taiwan board game design webpage and see it on their online shop. Number 16, 9 Tiles Panic. I do not like real-time games because it created a lot of stress, there's a lot of arguing, lots of screaming, mostly done by me. But I really like 9 Tiles Panic. In fact, I would say that it's one of the best Oink games of all time. And if you aren't familiar with Oink games, then woo, you've been missing out. They all kind of look like this great art design, very simple gameplay, everything's kind of stripped down to the bare basics, and they're even on Switch now, and you can play their games on Switch, and it kind of feels like the Nintendo version of board games, where it's very simple gameplay, but lots of fun. And that's what Oink Games is all about. 9 Tiles Panic is basically Men in Black, the board game. And again, it's a tile game. Wow, there are a lot of tile games here. But you have a 3x3 grid of a city. You're trying to put it together as quickly as you can. And you have the Men in Black are chasing aliens. The aliens are chasing hamburgers. And there just happens to be kids alone in the city full of Men in Black, aliens, and hamburgers lying on the street. But every time you play, there'll be these great mission cards where like whoever has the most aliens on the road, most Men in Black on the road, most aliens eating hamburgers, most dogs, blah, blah, blah. But it's a real-time game because you're trying to build your city as fast as you can so that way it makes sense and accomplish all 3 of the missions that are there on the board. This is a lot of fun. I didn't think it would be fun, but I think it's definitely a keeper and one to look out for. And if you like Oink Games, then you're in luck because they're pretty much everywhere, even Amazon Japan. Now, if you want to get any of these 5 games, you probably could. Origami has their own website. Some of these games are from Taiwan Board Game Design. This one's by Rio Grande Games. And this is Oink Games, which you can find anywhere. But this next game, yeah, you're not going to find it. Water Journey from Wizards of Learning, Thailand. As far as I know, this is the only copy on this island and maybe outside of Thailand. This is a giant rondel game. Surprise! I like rondels. And your otters building an otter city. Around the board is the giant rondel, and you're just moving along. Every action on the board costs hours. So if you want to take something that's 3 hours, you move 3 spaces. If you want something that's 2 hours, you move 2 spaces. Every space has extra bonuses that you can get, more cards, more resources. And in this game, you are basically just cleaning water. You're getting water from the river, and you have to send it through this water filtration system to make sure you have clean water. And you're using this water to build parts of a city. When I first met the Thai designers and I looked at some of the games, I'm like, okay, it's okay. It hasn't really fully matured, it's still nascent. They're still trying to experiment in things. And then I played Water Journey and I'm just, whoa, where did this game come from? The designers behind this game created something new. This is really fantastic. The reason why you're probably not going to find this outside of Thailand is because, one, well, this is in Thai. And I don't know if you can read Thai. I can't. But I have like a rulebook that helps me translate things. Actually, there's no English rulebook. It's just my scribbled notes after talking to the designer and publisher. Something that's done here in Asia that I don't know if it's done overseas as much is that indie publishers here will talk to local companies and the companies will want to create a board game. Why do these companies want to make a board game? Well, because they hand out brochures, and instead of just a regular piece of paper or brochure that people can throw away, they come up with these board games that are interactive and people are kind of forced to look at them, open them up, the company's logos, or place it all over the place, and it ends up being this fun game that subtly sells the company that made it. Unfortunately, these companies also control the game, and they're the ones who give the game away or sell the game, and then the publisher doesn't have much access to that. And if you're really curious at all about the upcoming growing market of Thailand and their games, Wizards of Learning is a fantastic place to start, and Water Journey is an excellent game. You should send them emails and say, we want this game, we want this game, we want this game, because this is totally fun, and you ought to try it. I'm so sorry. Number 14, Ocean Crisis. This is my gold standard for family games. Period. If you're looking for a game for a family, I highly recommend Shepherd Kit. They make excellent games for kids. 7 or 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, and 12-year-olds still like to play this game. This had a Kickstarter a few years ago, and they got a whole bunch of stuff, and there's tons of great stuff inside. This is basically a cooperative game where you're slowly trying to clean up the trash of a city. A city makes a lot of trash. The trash flows along this river into the ocean, and if you don't clean it up in time, it's going to collect and become this giant island of garbage. It's going to come and swallow the entire city and everyone dies in garbage. Yay! This is not an easy game. In this game, players are working together to clean the garbage. Also, you're trying to build routes to different parts of the city and develop new technologies that will help you clean garbage faster. But if you develop those technologies, you're not cleaning garbage, and so garbage is piling up. So you have to find a way to balance things out. You have individual characters, and each character has their own special abilities, so there's tons of replay value there. There's an easy, medium, normal, and crazy hard mode. And on top of that, there are lots of different modules that you can play. Like there's a ghost ship, there's a dolphin that can help you clean things, there's a shark who just eats garbage. There's a lot to like about this game. With all its modules, all its replay value, great quality meeples. But the really cool thing about Shepherd Kit is that they're the most eco-friendly board game company that I know. Outside of the plastic on the outside of this game when I first got it, there's no plastic inside this at all. All the components come in a paper bag. There's no rubber band, there's a paper rubber band that holds it together. There's no plastic around the cards, there's a paper rubber band holding it together. Zero plastic, zero waste. Not only is it a game about being nice to the environment, it's also nice to the environment. There's even a booklet that talks about recycling and how important it is to keep our beaches clean. I just think that's fascinating. And for a game that does this for kids, targeted towards kids, with a great message towards kids and all of humanity, I can't recommend this game enough. It is my gold standard for family games. And that has been Ocean Crisis. My number 13 is this tiny little box here, and that's In Front of the Elevators from Sashi and Sashi. Sashi and Sashi has a Tumblr page, if you remember Tumblr, where they have an online store, and you should be able to find this game there. If not, it'll come in stock eventually, and you can definitely pick it up. If you want to know more about this, then check out my Sashi and Sashi video where I talk about every single game that Sashi and Sashi has done, and I rank them from my least favorite to my favorite. This one was higher up on the list. And if you follow me on Twitter or God, what's the name of that platform? Facebook. Meta! If you follow me on either of these two platforms, you'll notice my banner has this weird look to it that's kind of Asian-y, kind of cutesy, and that comes from this game, Da Dao Cheng. Now, Da Dao Cheng has 2 editions, and they both look just like this, except this one's covered with tape because this is a used copy and someone decided to tape it to protect it. Don't ask me why. So if there's a little bit of glare on here, I apologize. This is Da Dao Cheng 2nd edition, and wow, I really like it. In this game, there's a grid inside Da Dao Cheng, which is this building with lots of clothes now that they sell. There are these 16 flowers, and you get to flip them or move them around, and you're trying to get straight lines of the same color. Those will activate, give you lots of cubes, and then you use those cubes to fulfill orders and do all these Eurogaming stuff. You can also build buildings with those cubes, and then you can also take those cubes and sell them off overseas. I don't know what it is, but this game is just fun, and I really enjoy it. If you're looking for this game, definitely try the Taiwan board game design webpage, and this should be on the online shop. Yin Yang. This game, this turtle shell is not the game, but it's in the game. And I wanted to show this to you. They didn't really need to do this, but they did, and it's awesome. Yin Yang is my number 11. I don't know what to say about this game. Like, it's kind of hard to find now if you're not living in Asia, but it's everywhere here in Taiwan. This is a game where you basically flip a whole bunch of coins and you arrange them in a certain order. So maybe heads, heads, you get to move on the road. Tails, tails, that you move on the river. Head, tails, that you do something else. Tails, heads, that you do something else. And these different combinations let you program your movement on the turn. What are you using that programming for? Well, you're moving all over ancient China, picking up treasures and doing things with them and placing these temples and spreading the faith of, yeah, I have no idea what the theme is. But I really like this game. It's in this big grandiose box, but I just love that it's so over the top, and I love programming games, and I think that this one is definitely worth looking for because you're not going to find another game with metal coins and a metal turtle shell. Biggest problem that I have with the game are the metal coins, actually, is that you have to put a white sticker on one side and a black sticker on the other, and I kind of just wish the coins just had different sides to them instead. I thought that would have been a little bit easier. Granted, more expensive. But that being said, this game plays well at 2, but it plays really well at 3 and 4 when more players are on there and more people are fighting for that area control of ancient China. This is my number 11 for the best board games from Asia of 2019. Have you played any board games from Asia lately? Comment below and let me know. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions here or if you disagree with me, because as I've learned lately, a lot of people disagree with me. I want to thank my Patreons for helping us make these videos, because with their sponsorship, it definitely does help get these videos out there. Things have been a little bit hectic here at Cardboard East because we're moving to another part of the city. So when your landlord tells you you're going to be homeless in 30 days, you start looking at apartments. And I don't know if you've looked at apartments in Taipei, but as soon as you walk in, you basically have like 5 minutes to signing that contract. Otherwise, another couple's going to come in and steal that contract from you. But I found a place. It's really great. You guys will see it soon. Like, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and I'll see you for the next video. We do the top 10 board games from Asia for 2019. See you then.